Today, we're going to be taking a look at companions. It seems like everything out there is out of date or just a generic guide showing like 4 companions, but there are actually over 70 different titles and they all have different skills. So we've gone up to date and a lot deeper. Before we start, I've put together a Google sheet with all of the companion stats and ranked them for everything that we're going to cover in the video. There's a link in the description if you want to take a look or follow along. Anyway, we're breaking the companions up into 7 sections, and we have the combat specialists, the party leaders, the best vassals, the best companions for your party roles, caravan leaders, governors, and then even alleyways as well. So, first up, what do we look for in a combat specialist? So if you're looking to make the most efficient combat companions possible, a bit like the ones I used in my companion-only series, we want Number 1, the potential to hit at least 7 attribute points in Vigour, Control, and Endurance. Attribute points are the hardest things to get right on your companions, as they level up in exactly the same way as the player character does. We want 7 attribute points in Vigour, Control, and Endurance, so that they can hit the max level perks in the combat skills like one-handed, athletics, two-handed, polearm, riding. If you level them up efficiently, you can hit around level 40 on a companion in their lifetime, so it is a bit of a grind, but don't worry, I'll explain how to level them up efficiently in a bit. Number 2 is their age. This gets overlooked in every guide that I've ever seen, but if you think about it, if you start at age 20 and take on a 32-year-old companion, on average, the companion will leave the game 12 years before your character, meaning, you'll have to train up another and replace them. Number 3 is their starting level. The higher the base stats doesn't necessarily mean they are the best companion for the job. Sometimes taking on a blank slate companion is your best option, giving you the ability to choose where to spend valuable attribute and focus points to build the companions that you want. Before we go into the top picks, here's a crucial tip. Companion spawns are random in every campaign. If the specific companions we want to cover haven't spawned in your world yet, you can force them to appear. So all you have to do is go into any tavern, hire the companion, even if you don't want them, then strip them of their gear to sell and immediately fire them. This removes them from the game and forces the world to spawn a brand new companion to replace them, allowing you to cycle the pool until you get the exact titles that you need. So, the rankings. In number 1, or the God tier, we have companions with the title The Mad. They're a Kuzite and spawn at 18 years old and at level 18. The Mad spawns with a massive 5 in Vigour, 3 in Control, and 4 in Endurance. Remember, we're after the 777, the minimum for the combat specialists. The Mad starts with an incredible level of 140 in one-handed, solid 145 in two-handed, and 130 in polearm, with 3 focus points in each of those skills, meaning they're really easy to specialise into any of the melee weapons that you want. My preference for combat specialists is one-handed and polearm, but you could do all 3 if you really wanted to. In the control tree, we have a respectable 60 in the bow, 50 in crossbow with 1 focus point in each, and a very nice 85 throwing with 2 focus points. I recommend only specialising in one of the control skills, mainly either bow or throwing. I mean, if you need a crossbow general or you really like crossbows, you could, but yeah, my suggestion is to stick to bow or throwing. In Endurance, the Mad starts with a decent 95 riding and an excellent 135 athletics, which is a solid foundation. His smithing isn't the best at a low level of 34 with 0 focus points. Doesn't seem like a big deal, right? But smithing is actually a key skill to maximize your combat stats, but I'll explain that in a second. So how to level them up? Right, so we found a companion with the title The Mad, which is great, but how do we level them up? The best way to level up any companion, regardless of their role, is clearing bandit hideouts. This is the most efficient and effective way to level your companions, full stop. Armour them up, give them the weapons you want them to specialise in, and then sit back and relax whilst they clear the hideout for you, and they gain loads of levels in the process. The tip is, if you want them to level their bow or throwing in particular, you must set them to fire at will first, or they'll clear the whole hideout with melee. So fire at will, then charge. Fighting in field battles is also good, but especially at the beginning, it's safer and more efficient to take out hideouts. We're going to take a look at the essential perk path. Right, so we have him and we can level him up, but what's the best order to allocate all of these lovely focus and attribute points? The first thing we want to go for is straight in for athletics and smithing. The reason for this is in both the athletics and smithing trees, we can pick up a few perks that give us free attribute points, making the whole grind way quicker in the long run. So the perks are, in athletics, durable at level 175, which gives us a +1 to endurance. And then at level 200 athletics, we get to choose between a +1 to control or vigor through the perks steady or strong. Smithing, in the smithing skill tree at level 150, we get to choose between a +1 to vigor or control again through the perks controlled smith and vigorous smith. And then at level 225, we can pick up another free endurance attribute. So by focusing on smithing and athletics first, we can gain an easy 2 attribute points to endurance and the choice of putting another 2 attribute points into vigor or control, or 1 in each if you want to mix them. Looking at the MAD, picking up these perks first will push his endurance up to 6, and if we put both in vigor, he'll hit the magic 7, or if we go for control, which I would pick, he would be at 5. So we already have 5 in vigor, 5 in control, and 6 in endurance out of the 7s that we need. So some honourable mentions. Some of the other notable combat specialist companions are, so we've got another at S rank. We've tied the companion with the title The Red from Britannia. He has the same potential as the Mad, but starts at age 24, so you get 6 years less out of him on average. The Restless doesn't look like much, but has the same potential to hit the same build as the Mad and starts at level 11. So he's super fast to level up initially and has next to no wasted attribute or focus points. So he's a bit of a blank slate. And then moving down into the A tier, we have the Barrel Chest, the Bull, Long Knife, the Exile, Blacktooth, the Accursed, the Shark, of the Hills, the Ill-Starred, Breakskull, the Brave, the Hawk, Empty Pockets, the Fisherman, and the River. So the reason that they're in the A tier is they can all hit the 777 attributes that we need for them to become real combat specialists, but the other 2 or 3 actually have another attribute point left over, which I normally put into athletics for extra HP. Others, like the Boar and Blood Axe, can also hit the attributes, but they start in their 30s, so they didn't make it into the A tier. Combat specialists make the best formation leaders for your party or army, so don't forget that. Okay, next we're going to look at party leaders. Okay, what if you want a companion to roam around without you and not instantly get captured? So you're going to need a dedicated party leader. But first, only 3% of you guys watching the last video were subscribed, so if you're enjoying the breakdowns, give us a sub. It helps me out massively. Cheers. So the way I've ranked them is on the basis that they aren't going to reach the same levels as the combat specialists. So you could keep them in your party and spend their whole life leveling them up, or give them a party leader role like Quartermaster and cheese a few levels, but we're going to take a look at the ones that are ready to lead parties for you straight out of the gate. So here are the key skills for a party leader. Number 1 is tactics. Tactics has a direct influence on AI versus AI battles. If we want them to be able to roam around without us, tactics is key for them to win battles and not get instantly captured and lose, all of the tier 6 troops that you've just given them. That has happened many times. Number 2 is steward. It makes their party cheaper for you as you'll be paying the wages and allows them to have larger party size. Medicine. Higher medicine means less troops dying in battle, so they spend less time having to recruit the tier 1 troops, and it also means that wounded soldiers heal faster, leaving them vulnerable for less time after battles. Number 4 is leadership. It's key for battle morale, increasing party size, and passive troop upgrading. And then lastly, we want to take a look at scouting. They need to be able to see more of the map and move faster, allowing them to dodge enemies that they can't win against and not get captured as often. So who are the best companions for the job straight away? In first place, we have the Prince. He's an Aserai and starts off at age 21 and level 20. The Prince drops in with a massive 128 tactics, a solid 118 in steward, and an average 77 scouting, but a massive leadership level of 157. His medicine skill is a little low at 64, but it's one of the quicker skills to level up. He has an unmatched starting level in both tactics and leadership with high steward, so he is the ultimate AI general. Close behind him, we have companions with the title Fairhair. So it's a battalion and is also top tier. He's basically the same as the Prince, just with very slightly lower stats, and I mean a difference of like 3 or 4 in each skill straight off the bat. We then have the Knowing. The Knowing's a Kuzite. It's a bit more balanced than the other two with higher scouting and medicine. Then the Scholar from Aserai. We have the Grizzled from Valandia, the Golden from Aserai, the Grey Falcon from Kuzite. They're all great options too. Remember, if you want to see the whole list of companions ranked for each of the categories in this video, go check out the Google Sheet in the description. So you've started your own kingdom, but how do you decide who gets a fief? Let's talk about the best vassals. So if you didn't know, you could promote companions to vassals after you're a faction leader of your own kingdom and you have some spare fiefs to give them. Vassals are similar build-wise to party leaders, but with a few key differences. Whilst having tactics, steward, and scouting is nice on a vassal, trade, charm, and leadership is a way bigger factor for your vassals. We need charm for them to build up influence to build armies, tactics to lead the army successfully, and trade to fund their party and their own clan members' parties, and leadership for battle morale. The top 3 or 4 vassals are similar to the party leaders ranking, but it quickly changes as we get further down the rankings. As culture plays a big part in picking vassals for loyalty in the settlements that they own, I'll go through the top 3 vassals from each culture. So for Aserai, we have the Prince, the Golden, and the Scholar. For the Battalions, we have Fairhair, the Wanderer, and the Healer. The Battalions overall probably have the worst selection of vassals, bar the Nords. So for the Empire, we have the Surgeon, the Scholar, and the Dispossessed. For the Kuzites, the best Kuzite vassals are the Knowing, the She-Wolf, and the Grey Falcon. For Sturgia has weak options, but you know, the Fish is okay, Willowbark if you really have to, and Frostbeard. For Valandia, we have the Loud in top spot, the Grizzled, and the Tracker. And then the Nords. The Nords basically have the worst options as they all start really low leveled, but you know, if you really have to, Wavebreaker and Troll Daughter are the only other options that start, you know, without 0 in every single useful skill. Next up, we're going to look at party roles. So your clan is nothing without its backbone. So we're going to take a look at the best companions for specific party roles. We have 4 roles: Quartermaster, Scout, Surgeon, and Engineer. And the way that I rank these guys is not purely on their ability to fulfill the designated role, but having some okay combat stats too, as they're going to be in your party all of the time and will be fighting too, and you know, we don't want them to die. So Quartermaster. So taking a look at Quartermaster, the key stat to keep wages low is Steward, and it also increases the amount of troops in your party as well. In the top spot, we have the Spice Vendor, followed by the Scholar, which is another Aserai, the Prince, who's also Aserai. Then we've got the Knowing, the Fairhair, the Wainwright, and the Scholar from the Empire. The combat stats aren't heavily skewing the results, but they do have some. But we do want to focus on their levels that they gain to increase their steward skill. The easiest way to make sure that to increase the steward skill is to make sure that you have all types of food in your party, and you know, every day the tick comes in about midday, their steward skill will increase passively just by having as many types of food as you possibly can. So up next is the Scout. So for Scouts, we have the Tracker at number 1, followed by the Swift, the Wanderer, of the hills, the silent, of the wastes, and the black. Oddly enough, for scout, the key skill is scouting. A little trick to boost scouting is to find an enemy army and actively run over their tracks and then circle around them. But you have to be careful not to get caught. That's happened one too many times. So surgeons. For surgeons, the key skill is medicine. So in number 1, we have the surgeon, although they do start out quite old, and it depends if you don't mind that or not. I think they start around 32 age. And then we have the healer, bitter draft, the willow bark, the empire scholar, and the smith from Valandia, surprisingly. He's got a surprisingly high medicine stat. And then for engineers, the key skill is, yep, you guessed it, engineering. What surprise? In top spot, the engineer from Aserai, followed by the scholar from the Empire, the Wainwright from Valandia, the scholar from Aserai, and the knowing from Kuzite. All of the party roles are quite easy to level, and it can be helpful to try to, hybrid the party roles across your combat specialists or commanders to save space on companion slots, which are limited. Each clan tier level you go up, you get a +1 to your companion limit, and there are 2 perks that allow you to increase the limit by another +1 each. So we have camaraderie at level 250 charm, which is the one I normally get because it's really easy to level up charm. And then we have we pledge our swords at level 250 leadership. I don't usually get this one. It's quite difficult to get to 250 leadership, but if your build allows for it, why not? Up next, we have caravan leaders. So we're going to talk about passive income. Caravan leaders need more than just trade to actually survive. Caravan leaders need a mixture of scouting, tactics, and trade. So scouting for movement speed, tactics to make sure they win the fights when they do get intercepted, and trade to, will make you as much money as possible, right? Although trade is great, you can pretty much make money from any caravan, but for the rankings, trade is included as we want the most money that we can get, right? So top 5 in order are the Spice Vendor from Aserai. It's hands down the best choice, dropping in with a massive 158 trade, a solid 86 in scouting, and a respectable 57 in tactics straight off the bat. Number 2, we have the Knowing, who's a Kuzite. They have slightly more tactics, but less trade skill. Number 3 is the Engineer from Aserai, sort of an all-rounder with pretty well-balanced stats. Number 4 is the Prince from Aserai. It's great tactics, but low scouting. And then number 5 is the Scholar from Aserai. Again, a bit of an all-rounder. It seems like the best caravan leaders are pretty much any Aserai companion, so just whack any in, and I'm pretty sure they'll make you some money. Up next, we have governors. If your settlements are constantly, rebelling or starving, you're picking the wrong governors. Like vassals, governors' culture is essential. So while you can use any companion to govern your town or castle, their culture has a direct impact on the loyalty of settlements. So always use governors of the same culture as the settlement. There are 5 key skills for governors, which are engineering, steward, charm, medicine, and leadership. Trade is also very useful for profit. Medicine's often overlooked, but it has a very strong perk that's essential for hearths, which drive the production and, in turn, garrison size and profit. So the top 3 for each culture are, for the Aserai, we're going for the Engineer. He's a super fast builder. Number 2 is the Scholar. He's a great builder and, he's got the medicine skill for the Hearths perk. And then number 3 is the Spice Vendor. Great all-rounder with high trade for income. So for the Battanians, in number 1, we have Fairhair. He does have 0 speed build bonus, but, he has high charm and leadership for loyalty. Number 2, we have the Healer. They're carried by, their high medicine and a bit of steward. And then number 3, we have the Wanderer. They're a mediocre governor, so only use them if you have to. The Battanians' choices for governors isn't great. And then for the Empire, the number 1 slot is the Scholar. He's probably the best governor in the game. You know, he's a great builder, moneymaker, and loyalty all in one. Number 2 is the Surgeon, great medicine and decent steward. And then number 3 is the Dispossessed. So they're a bit of a jack of all trades and pretty much a bang average governor, the usable. For the Kuzites, the number 1 slot is the Knowing. They're a top tier governor. They're perfectly balanced. I would probably say they're number 2 in the rankings. Number 2 for the Kuzites is the She-Wolf. Decent, well balanced. Number 3 is the Hawk. They're not great because they've got no build speed, but they're okay at making money through their trade skill, right? For Sturgia, again, not many good options, but number 1 is Willowbark, which is carried by the Hearth bonus from their medicine. Number 2 is Frostbeard, probably the Sturgeon's best all-rounder, although they're pretty average. Number 3 is the Shield Maiden, and the only thing that she's got going for it is decent charm. So the Valandians, number one, we have the Wainwright. They're a great build speed and moneymaker. Then we have Bitter Draft, which is low loyalty buff, but the medicine perk comes in clutch. Then number 3 is the Grizzled, who's a bit of an all-rounder. You know, they're pretty decent. And then the Nords literally don't bother. But, you know, if you have to, Troll Daughter and the Fisherman, but they're both bottom tier, you know, you'd probably be better off using one of the top tier governors from another culture and taking the loyalty hit. And we move on to alleyways. Finally, for those of you passionate about roguery runs, let's talk alleyways. Okay, so we've looked at a lot, but I know some people are very passionate about their roguery runs and their alleyways, so I've even put together a ranking for them. I believe to run an alleyway, a companion has to have at least 30 roguery. I might be wrong on that, but I think it's 30. And one-handed combat stats are ideal for, you know, taking over the alleys and then the brawls that come afterwards. So in top place for alley leaders, we have number 1, the Robber. He's got the highest roguery starting skill and excellent combat stats and starts very young. Number 2, we have the Silent. They're similar to the Robber, just slightly lower stats. Number 3 is Horse Thief. They're perfectly balanced for the alleys. Number 4 is the Black. They're an all-rounder. And number 5 is the Mad. They've got a lower roguery, but, you know, he's an elite fighter. Remember, if you want to take a look at the companion's starting stats and the rankings I have made, to go and check out the Google sheet in the description. If you just disagree with anything I've said, let me know in the comments. But thanks for watching, and subscribe if you want to see more of our breakdowns and playthroughs. Cheers, bye.